drove this. It would have been so much more comfortable. I just wanted something close because of the golf bags.
Oh, right. Well, I'm not going for this.
But yeah, that's the only downside to this, is there's no trunk. And once that back seat fills up real quick, or Racer's tight in the rear.
Prices have been going up.
Oh, I'm sure.
On those rentals.
Well, how about this? You rent it under your name, and I'll give you my 1/5 share.
But I've noticed that if you rent it like the week before, it drops down significantly, hundreds of dollars per day. Right now it's
like the week before we go.
Yeah, so right now it's at $750
for the whole thing.
No, per night. And then I said, well, what if it was next week, right? What if we were going next week?
Yeah.
It dropped down to $488.
Yeah, but the only problem is you don't want to be stuck the week before you go with no place to be.
Yeah, but it's a whole week though.
Yeah,
I'm sure you could find
something.
Right.
But you know how I feel about that. I like to plan stuff far in advance. Get everything booked.
Weren't you talking about one time just rolling the dice and booking something?
Yeah, I talk about
on the drive.
I talk about a lot of stuff. I'm always like, oh, we should do this and we should do that. And then here's me 6 months out, booking my hotel room and paying for my car. Oh, we should wait. We'll do last minute. We'll save all kinds of cash. And then I secretly like book everything on my own. Oh, you got a place to stay?
You can
crash with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna need $200 though.
Got to pay before we go, obviously.
But
all right, you want to roll the dice? A true Vegas trip, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe I got a dice right here. Maybe roll it and we'll see if we should wait for it or book it now.
Okay. So we're heading to Mexico.
So today we're doing a special on the road version or episode of Hot Topic with BP. This will be a two-parter, but we've decided to make a run to Mexico to get prescription drugs.
The American healthcare system.
Yeah, the American healthcare system, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to
go to Mexico
talk about this.
Prescription drugs.
Yeah, is because every single person I told we were doing this wants something from a Mexican pharmacy because it's too expensive to get in America. Every single person. So I thought, how fucked up is that? So that's it.
Right.
I almost want to say maybe we'll try to make a market of it. Like I said, I think there is a market for it. Come out once a month, make this drive. I was thinking like a flat fee. It's got to be cheaper than a copay. So like $25.
Yeah.
Plus a percentage of whatever you want me to get. So, because I mean, I got at least 4 people on this one trip that want me to get them something.
Right.
So, I mean, if each of them threw in $25, it's a hundo right there. You know what I'm saying? I bet you that'll cover gas. And then, you got 4 more people, and then all of a sudden, you made $100.
Maybe cut Leon into the deal since he's already a third of the way. Because he lives in Tucson.
Yeah.
Have him drive
to Tucson, and then have him drive to
since
Mexico.
He lives in Tucson.
Yeah,
so
which is basically the border.
Right.
That dusty little border town of Tucson.
And he's used to deliveries and stuff like that with his previous job.
Even with his new job. Yeah. All he does is make deliveries.
Legal drug deliveries.
Yeah, isn't that so funny? That's what it was making me laugh about the whole thing. It's like, all right, let's get into the legal drug game. And I mean, like I said, everybody. And then you charge a percentage on top, but not much. I'm not trying to get rich here, but I mean.
But in all honesty, the drug prices in America are just ridiculously too high. Certain things that I think one was like EpiPens or whatever.
$500. That was pre-pandemic.
You can get them dirt cheap across the border, or even in Canada. And here in the States who's just getting.
Well, okay, here's a good one. This is one of the things that makes me so angry. You want to go over just a brief couple of items that people requested on this trip, right?
Okay.
Albuterol inhalers, like rescue inhalers, insulin, antibiotics. You know, like
insulin is cheap, dirt cheap in Venezuela.
Yeah, it's what, $300 a fucking cycle here, where it's like $30 a cycle there.
Well, so like one of Bernie Sanders' talking points talks about how, and he lists all the pricing of insulin across other countries, and the United States is the top of the list for the highest cost for insulin. It makes no sense. Other than,
well, there's some of it that might make a little bit of sense.
It's not going back to R&D because insulin's done.
Well, that's one of those $1 free patents or whatever. Because the guy that invented insulin thought the whole world should have it for free, so he never charged for it. But yeah, oh my god, insulin, really? I actually have an FDA story, and that's what actually made me think about it. Is this little excursion? Every single person wants something, and like I said, well, I guess one of them was retinol A, which is like a face cream.
Okay.
So it's like, that's probably the most cosmetic thing somebody's asked for.
Sorry, there's a blue minivan that kept swerving into our lane.
I don't think he wanted me to pass him. I was talking to your homeboy Nick, and I was telling him about this idea. Because I like to drive around.
Yeah. And
how this would be like a perfect format.
All right.
We'd get the camera in the car and then drive around and talk about shit. And he was like, yeah, you should get a street cam too. Like a front and back one.
Yeah, you should.
So that we can intercut stuff like that. It'd be us talking, and then you'd see a couple looks to the left, and then you'd cut, and then you'd see the fucking van swerving all over the road. Well, yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
And he was from out of town too.
I didn't even see him. Was it California? California. COVID refugee.
But it's not just California though. I've seen a ton of Texas plates here in Arizona.
Yes.
And they drive like shit too.
They drive like shit in Texas too. All the way from here to Texas, and in Texas, they're like, they're worse than California. They're definitely worse than California. Nobody's arguing with that. Texas is the worst state in the union.
They feel entitled.
I don't get it.
Largest state in the union. I'm like, not
in the continental, if you don't count Florida or California,
or no, Alaska.
No, that's because it's like the continental, like this part, right?
Oh, okay.
It's everything but Alaska and Hawaii.
The 48 states.
Yeah, the real 48.
I still love that sticker Leon made. I wish.
Oh, yeah. Texas, Alaska's bitch.
Right. Because you compare it, it's so much smaller. Texas to
Texas probably gets in there, like Rand McNally or whatever, stationed out of Texas. Texas gets all the map stuff so they can make Texas bigger on the map. I did hear a funny one about Texas though.
Well, they kept talking about is it called society? There's breaking off the union, being its own country.
I'm not sure because I'm not like an English doctor or whatever. They call it succeed. It sounds like succeed.
Yeah.
Like to do well.
Right.
But I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. I call it succeed. The succeed state is what I call it. But
if they were to
succeed,
right?
Succeed. It can't be like do well. It can't be succeed. Like
Didn't we do an episode of all these states, like each state that takes in so much federal money?
We didn't do an episode on that. That was just a funny little. We were talking about foreign aid.
Yeah, wasn't Texas up there?
Texas, yeah, it's third on the list as far as like receiver of federal funds. Texas is third on the list
because they wouldn't receive any more federal funds if they were to succeed.
No. They couldn't because they wouldn't be part of America.
And then 2 years ago when their power grid just completely failed because of that massive winter storm?
The winter one?
Right.
Yeah, because every time it gets hot or cold or rains, their power grid goes out.
When it weathers.
Whatever it weathers. But it's Texas. They don't have a lot of weather out there. Just in the summer or the winter. Or the spring and fall.
Yeah. But other than that,
yeah.
we got you covered 1/4 of the 4 quarters.
Yeah, and that's what they talk about. And this is the problem with for-profit utilities, right? Because by definition, profits come before any sort of consumer concerns, right? Profits are the most important thing.
Right.
So you got to do as much as you can with as little as possible to maximize profits. And that's why you have like those fires in California. Why you have the Texas power grid. Because instead of paying to fix it, it's cheaper just to wait till it breaks.
Rolling blackouts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's one thing though. That rarely happens here in Arizona. Why is that though? Even though we're hotter than,
Well, because we have utilities aren't like that here in Arizona. Plus, we have nuclear power, which is where we get a bulk of our power from.
Is it though? I thought a lot of it, like the Palo Verde nuclear power plant, goes. A good chunk of it goes to California.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It doesn't stay here.
But
even though they're getting rid of their nuclear power plants, they can
it's cheaper to buy nuclear power from Arizona than it is to produce it in California.
Yeah,
because of their regulations and stuff. I'm sure.
Sticking to this one topic, there's a lot of shit that's been going on in Arizona that a lot of people don't know is going on in their own state. And one of the big ones that I find it kind of scary that nobody knows is our water, right?
Okay.
You keep seeing these images of like Lake Mead and how just fast it's draining.
Yeah, dangerously low it's getting.
And I didn't even know this until somebody pointed out, but there's a bunch of farmlands that are growing. They're growing alfalfa that takes a lot of water for them to grow.
Oh, to keep the water rights?
That's one. And the other one is you got foreign countries here in Arizona growing alfalfa using, I read it's 1.5 billion gallons of water every year to grow alfalfa and ship it back to Saudi Arabia for their cattle. Even though they're starting to tell us that we're getting into a drought, we have to start using our water conservatively and all this bullshit. But yet you don't talk about these old laws that are telling these farmers that if they don't use a certain amount of water every year, they lose their right to that water. What the fuck?
Well, I've touched on this before. I don't think foreign countries should be able to own land in America.
No.
Especially farmland and things like that. Nothing that comes out of the ground. No mines, no oil, no farmlands. They can buy it from us.
Or water.
Water,
especially in this state.
Yeah. That's exactly correct. And alfalfa, oh my God.
And that was for a piece of 1.5 billion gallons of water on I think it was 20 acres, which isn't a lot of land.
That's not a lot. If you walk 20 acres, it's not a lot of land.
But I don't know. I thought that was. But you don't hear it. You don't hear it on the news. You don't hear it with politicians, because they're ones talking about people being responsible with their water usage and shit like this.
It's like that BP, the British Petroleum, after that spill when they were like, oh, what's your carbon footprint? And they had a thing on their website where you could go enter stuff in. And it would show like, oh, this is your environmental damage. It's like, really? Did you do you? What's a billion gallons of oil spill or whatever? Oh, what's a million in the Gulf?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't right. Especially, how much farmland in America China owns? It's like, what the fuck?
Not just in America, they own a ton of land in Canada too.
Canada's nothing but land. And it's probably prime land in Canada. Because Canada doesn't have a lot of very habitable zones. It's mostly along the border.
Yeah, you look at a map of Canada and all of their population is either on one side of the coast or the other. Nothing in the middle and nothing on top.
Exactly.
The
I'd say
West Territories.
70-80% of Canada is just uninhabited or uninhabited.
Not yet, but give it a couple more years of global warming.
Yeah, they'll be growing pineapples, right?
Yeah.
Who knew that? Bush was right.
What, did he say that?
Yeah, he said we'll just grow pineapples in Alaska. They were asking him about global warming.
Oh.
And he laughed and says, yeah, we'll just grow pineapples in Alaska.
I had no idea.
That was
he
George
said that.
W. Probably my favorite Bush. I really feel like Jeb got ripped off. I really would like to see what kind of wars he got into. Back to Iraq? I'm calling it right now.
Oh, if he was president?
Yeah.
Iraq 2, the election.
Iraq 3.
Oh, it is.
First Blood or whatever. First Blood Part 2.
Because it was his dad who went in a Desert Storm, and then it was
W, but he declared victory on that. Remember?
Yeah, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
And then Bush 3.
The Empire Strikes Back or something like that.
I didn't even think about that.
Here's the first of many pecan farms.
You know, you say that, but we can't show.
Can't show what?
Well, I would have to take the phone off.
Oh, yeah. You know what you should do? Bust out your phone and take some pictures. Because I can always cut the pictures in. Just have it out to be ready.
On the way back.
Yeah. This is what a pecan farm looks like. So I just went to Texas again, right?
Yeah.
And they have one of the things on the way out there is like the world's biggest pecan. You know, they have like 1,000 signs for it as you're driving down the freeway, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like 45 miles off of the highway. So at least an hour. Depending on the Texas roads, it's probably more like 40 miles an hour. So it's probably like 2 hours, an hour and a half, let's say, off the freeway. I never went because I never wanted to take that much time, an hour there, an hour back. So I looked it up this time because, like, okay, I've done everything else, so I'm going to check it out just to see. Motherfucking goddamn, it's like a paper mache.
What do you mean?
It's a giant pistachio. A giant paper mache fucking pistachio. Like, because I saw the pictures on fucking Google. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's in like a trailer park? Oh my God.
Gotcha, bitch.
Oh, if I would have gone, I would never go. Oh, I can only imagine. I'd be like screaming like in the parking lot.
Yeah.
What
Oh, you
the
didn't go?
fuck? No, I didn't go.
Oh, I thought you went in
No,
and then got surprised.
I couldn't bring myself to do it because it's so far off the freeway. And it's like, because, you know, to get to Texas, El Paso, let's say, right on the border.
You know, that thing was probably made back in the day, simpler
the 50s.
times. Yeah. They had nothing else to look at.
You know, they didn't have Google to see pictures of it. Because if you Google it and you see it on the fucking picture, you're like, I'm not driving an extra hour and a half to go see this fucking
Damn,
thing.
Google just killed, what would you say, 2/3 of their business?
Yeah. Well, it would any young person, because old people would just go.
Yeah.
They wouldn't look it up on Google. They'd just be like, oh, what's that world's largest pistachio? Only 45 miles off the highway. Okay.
They're saying how big it is?
They don't say how big it is. But the world's largest. It's got to be big. I'm like, it's probably like a golf ball. You know, because pistachios are really small.
Yeah.
No, it's big. It's big.
But it's paper mache pistachio.
Yeah, what the fuck? Oh, Texas, man.
That's hilarious.
And like I said, I was gonna go. That's why I looked it up, because I was getting the address.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's this? The fuck? And like click on the pictures, and it's like the reviews don't go. And then here's the picture. And it's like a parking lot in front of a trailer park that has a giant pistachio in the parking lot. You know, so you're just like, what the fuck?
You can buy pistachios there, though?
Yeah, it's a pistachio.
Okay. Well, at least you could buy some pistachios. Get something out of it.
Yeah, but imagine how overpriced they're going to be. Where are you going to go? Someplace else? You're fucking an hour from the highway. An hour if you drive quick.
Hour and a half to the nearest convenience store to get pistachios.
Right. Out of spite, and then you're going to get there and it's going to be from the fucking pistachio farm or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it's all local shit. I'd be so angry. I also took a different way back as well. You're familiar with the 10?
Yeah.
That goes through Tucson, out through New Mexico to Texas, all the way it goes all the way to the East Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they say. I took a different way back. So when you're coming back in New Mexico, you could get off the 10 and take the old highway to get back.
Never been through there.
Yeah, I would avoid it. It's all one lane either way. Like the 67 to the 140 to the 83 to the all one
wow.
lane. Yeah, all small towns with nothing. There's not a lot in the desert between New Mexico and Arizona.
Just vistas.
Just plenty of vistas. It was like a,
looks like
a
an
Western painting. Yeah, right. Oh, what's that, a cactus? Yeah, oh man.
So no double lane or triple lane.
No.
You know, it just got passed. The highway that goes from Kingman all the way to the border of Nevada.
Okay.
Right now it's 2 lanes.
All right.
I believe. It just got approved to 3 lanes.
Oh, that'll be nice. That's because that's on the way up to Vegas. Yeah, that's great. Kingman's like a stopover for Vegas.
We always stop there. Get gas, stretch our legs.
Yeah.
Maybe get some liquor.
Right? It's like 3 hours.
And that's all you want to do in Kingman. Just
pass through?
Yeah.
You don't want to go to the bathroom.
Well, not if you're a minority.
We stayed in Kingman once. We were going up to Schleifen to look at property.
Yeah.
And so we were coming back from California. And so we went, instead of coming back, like through on the 10, we went up north and came back through Kingman.
Yeah.
Because that's out, northern Arizona, Schleifen. And so we stayed in Kingman. Because I was like, I drive through Kingman all the time, a couple times a year. Oh my God. We stayed at some motel on historic Route 66. Because that's like a Kingman thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was fucking awful. It's like a meth town.
I didn't want to say it. Borat and Bruno, what's his name? Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, Sacha Conan Laurel or something.
Yeah, he did a bit out in Kingman. He was dressed as a this property management that was coming to Kingman to set up this massive property that was going to generate millions of dollars to the city of Kingman. And so they had the I guess it was like the townspeople involved. And so of course he's in disguise.
Yeah.
And you can look this up on YouTube. It's a hilarious video. So, and they're all for it. They're all excited until he reveals. I don't know if you've seen this video or not. He reveals that it's going to be a giant mosque, prayer temple for the Muslims. And then they go nuts. They absolutely say, no, you can't have this here. And then almost all the racism just comes out of them.
Yeah, Kingman's full of that, I'm sure.
And he starts showing like before pictures of like this small strip of road.
Yeah, that
had like and then he's like, this is the before and this will be the after. And of course he's being funny. There's camels on the street. And then it's just like, no, we're not in this part of town. It's just oh my God, it's hilarious. You should look it up. But
yeah, I like the movies. I don't like Borat.
Well, what I was getting at is like the people. They weren't actors. They weren't paid actors. Those are the people that are living there, talking like this. I haven't, like I said, I've only just passed through. Every time we go to Vegas, I've never really stayed there. I've never really explored the city, the town.
You can get a lot of property in Kingman pretty cheap. I was actually looking at buying a mountain.
It depends what you're doing with it.
It's 3,000 acres. Very reasonably priced. It wasn't, I'm not kidding when I say this, an entire mountain. But who wants to own property in fucking Kingman?
There's some people.
Because you can get a lot of land, but it's like this.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's big, flat, full of rocks. That's it.
A long time ago.
Okay.
thought, everything north of Prescott or Payson, it was all woods, forests. So I just assumed that Keeneland would be the same way. And you're right, it's not.
It's not.
It's just really weird. It's just right in the middle of Arizona is all the wood. Because if you go to like Four Corners in that area, it's the same thing. It's flat, desert.
Never been out that way. Yeah.
I had to go to drive on the 40 and go into New Mexico. That's when I was working for this one glass company, and I had to take an insulated glass unit to that town. It was really interesting drive, because that's where that giant crater is at. Is on that
Meteor crater?
Meteor crater is on the 40.
Oh, okay. I've been up to Meteor crater.
Yeah, and you keep going, and I think they shut it down, but it was one of the largest coal power plants in the Southwest.
Oh, up on Apache lands?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did shoot that down.
And it was so weird, because I was driving back, and it was getting dark, and it looked like a small town. There were so many lights and towers and this and that. And I'm like, I don't remember a town when I drove by, during the daylight. And it was the power plant. It was surreal. Very interesting.
See, that'd be a good transition into lithium. So you stop digging up that coal, start digging up that lithium.
Right.
And then backfill it with coal when you're done, or whatever. I don't care. You're just gonna let it sit there? You're gonna let China buy it?
That's what they're gonna do.
That's what they're gonna do.
And lithium is recyclable, from what I heard. I haven't done my research.
I don't know. I'm not a big
battery
I'm not a lithium doctor, but I'm not a battery doctor, but
anyway. Yeah, I had a friend post something on Facebook about electric vehicles.
okay.
How they're being, this is California and Texas, they're being told, because of rolling blackouts, because of the weather, to manage their electricity properly. But they're also telling people to go buy electric cars, and that was their joke, on Facebook. I said, either they're trying to, I guess, put blame or on Democrats, or I don't get it. I didn't know how they were putting two and two together.
How this is like a Democrat thing.
Oh, because of the new Green Deal, and how they want everybody to get off of petroleum and go onto electric cars. But they're like, how can you have electric cars if you're having rolling blackouts? Ha ha ha. I'm like, well, you're not addressing that. We just went over this. Power companies are for-profit private companies.
Yeah, especially in Texas. It used to be like that in California too. That's why they had that horrible fire. You remember it burnt that town?
Well, that's because the structure that was keeping the power lines in place, it was this giant metal hook that was 80 years old.
Yeah, because it's cheaper to fix it after it breaks than it is to preemptively upgrade their ship. It's more profitable now. Right. And then until you get a big house fire, and then the for-profit company files for Chapter 11. They get to take all their profits and run. Then the government steps in and pays off all their debt, and then rebuilds everything. And then in another 10 years, they'll sell it to another private company out of steel, and then the whole cycle will repeat itself. The problem is, big business runs all the regulatory committees that they're supposed to institutes kind of pervert it to make it seem bad so people won't do it. You know, it's like, oh, that's what Nazis said. It's like, no, that's what you're saying Nazis said. There is good people out there that want to see, you know, they're not just trying to sell the world out to make money. They actually want to see, like, clean air and good schools and food for kids. And not, I don't know, get bought off by large corporations and shit.
Right.
It feels like there's got to be a better way to do this.
I believe it's term limits on fucking senators.
Term limits and age limits. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so I have a very strong belief that politicians shouldn't be old. And by that I mean, if you're old enough to file for Social Security, I don't think you should be allowed to represent people. Because politicians set the age for Social Security. Social Security is when you're supposed to retire, right? That's what it is, loosely. So if a politician's saying this is when you're supposed to retire, politicians should retire at that age. Simple as that. They can set their own fucking age. And then the second some 80-year-old goddamn politician wants to change the fucking Social Security age to 80 because they want to keep in power, you're going to fuck up the whole system. And you're going to lose your entire base because it's mostly old people that vote. Like, they vote like the highest percentage.
Have they changed the age limit of when you can collect Social Security, or is it still 55?
It's 67.
It's 67 now?
Yes. 55.
Wasn't it?
No! That's when I'm retiring. not fucking... It's 67 is when you start collecting Social
What was it
Security
before? Was it 60?
Yeah, I know it was at least early 60s.
62 maybe?
Yeah, I think it's probably closer to 62. I don't know, to be honest with you.
They're going to make it where you're so old that you can
we're never going to collect it. The whole thing, politicians will take it and blow it before we ever get the chance.
You know you can opt out, right?
Yeah, it's true.
But that means you could never collect.
Well, that's the thing. I've already paid so much into Social Security. I got this like 5 years ago, saying that if I stopped now and was able to collect, it'd be like $1,300 or $1,400 a month.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I retire, it'll be twice that number. You know what I'm saying? I've already paid in to get $1,300 a month. I've already paid in to collect that much. And I still got another 15 years to go. 13 years to go. And then that's it. You know, like another 13 years, it'll be like $3,000 a month that I'll be able to collect from paying in so much. And you know I'm never going to get a small fraction of what I paid in.
You don't think we'll be able to collect anything?
I don't think so. I think by the time...
Why is it going to be gone, though?
Because
we're paying into it.
Because boomers are going to live too long, and they're going to soak it all up. Because they're not going to pay shit into it, and they're going to be able to start collecting it, and then they're going to live to be like 100 fucking years old. So every single one of them is going to collect it for 33 goddamn years. They're going to make it insolvent. You know what I mean? It's going to cost more money than it brings in. And so they're going to tax the shit out of us to pay for it, because boomers are the ones in power. But they don't care what happens after they're gone. That's what is wrong with their generation. That's why everything's so fucked up. The housing market, that's why school debt, the job market, everything is because boomers don't care what happens after they're gone. So they fucked up every single institution in America, and then they're gonna die fat and happy. And then we're gonna be left with nothing to clean up the mess. For our kids, basically. Like, It's like, what are you doing? Old people, you're fucking over your grandkids. But they don't give a shit.
No, they're not my kids.
They're not my kids. Yeah, I mean, tell me one boomer that doesn't complain about public schools. You know, it's like, you went to public school. Your kids went to fucking public school, but now you want to defund it? Oh, you got what you wanted? You don't give a shit no more? That's like boomer mentality, man, 101. They got what they wanted, so they got a cheap education. Their parents paid for their college, that they could work a summer job to pay for. Right? They got their cheap education. They got their fucking bachelor's degree for $10,000.
Less.
Oh my God. And then here we are, our whole lives, go to college. You make $1 million more a year, blah, 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 or whatever, over a lifetime.
But then you're indebted hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And yeah, and it's over like the last 30 years. The price of college has gone up 1,400%.
It's because it's become a business, that's why.
Yeah, because boomers found a way to make money off of it, you mean?
Yeah.
And so here we are.
Right.
Yeah, an entire generation that starts off, and it's like, you know, it's the perfect thing, right? You wouldn't give a kid a $10,000 car loan, right? But you'll give him $100,000 in fucking student loan debt. That's unforgivable. So any boomer that complains about, oh, well, it's your debt, fucking deal with it. Do you have any idea how many boomers have filed for bankruptcy? You know, more boomers have filed for bankruptcy than there are millennials with college debt. So it's like, it's funny that these boomers are like, oh, it's your bad, you pay for it. File for bankruptcy.
And you can't file for bankruptcy for student
bankruptcy,
loans.
Yeah, there's no way to get rid of student loans.
Unless you die.
You can die, or you can work for the government for 10 years. And then whatever is left after that 10 years has a chance to be forgiven.
Sounds like slavery with extra steps.
With extra steps. Yeah. So imagine an entire generation of kids that instead of having a house or a nice car, they have student loan debt.
Right.
And it's like, what's $400 a month? You know, that's half of an apartment. That's a half of a mortgage. A third of a mortgage. That's a whole brand new ass car payment. You know?
Right.
It's like a brand new car. It's like $400 a month. You go out and buy a new Toyota.
You know what gets me is that they've convinced a good chunk, I mean, they're good at doing this shit, is that they convince a good chunk of the youth to not vote because it won't matter.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't, just, you have to vote. What do you mean? You know, you have, that's your right, and I hear it. I'm not going to vote. I'm like, why not? Hey, it's not going to make a difference. I'm like, you can't think that way. You have to vote.
If they're telling you not to do it, that means,
if it didn't work, why does it work for the fucking boomers?
Oh my God.
But a lot of young kids, they don't fucking vote. They don't understand that, you know, if they were to vote, it would flip so many fucking tables.
They also say that there's now more young people than there are old people. Right?
Well, this is why they're passing all of these fucking crazy voting laws to, you know,
Stop
young people from voting, because a lot of the times when the elections come around, what is it, on Tuesday?
Tuesdays, yeah.
People need, you know, a lot of the young folk have to, they got to work. They can't take time off to go
They
and vote.
don't have the kind of job, where you could just get PTO to go vote, if they can even get the time off. Yeah, you're dead right. Where all these old people are fucking retired, or they're the boss, so they just get to write, oh, I'm not working today. Yeah, I'm going to be poll watching. What does that mean? Oh, me and a bunch of my friends are going to get some bets and go wait by the polls.
Yeah,
we're going to beat up people trying to hand out water, which is illegal in Arizona now.
Oh, really? Wow.
You're not, because it's, what do they say? It'll influence the vote.
They were trying to take away mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots.
Yeah, in Arizona, 90% of people in the last election voted by mail. 90%.
Right. But it failed, though.
Well, yeah, because ever since I've been of voting age, I've lived in Arizona, almost exclusively, and I voted by mail. I've only ever voted by mail. Now, I've gone in a couple times and voted in person, because I didn't send my mail-in ballot in time.
Right.
But I still, in every election, vote by mail. And it's so much better. There's even stupid laws they put into place. This is how bad it is in Arizona, where they're not even allowed to start counting the ballots until election day, until the polls open.
Yeah.
So it's like...
And that's the shit that Trump didn't understand.
No, he knew damn well. That's why they were attacking Arizona.
Oh, right. He knew well. He acted stupid, talking about dumps. These massive dumps. I was like, no, they're not. They weren't dumps. They're just like what Jake just said.
Yeah.
Ballots that weren't. They don't get counted until the election day.
Yep. And then I think they even count the mail-in ballots second. So they first count all the in-person ballots. Then they start on the mail-in ballots. And it's so stupid. You could easily count the mail-in ballots first. You don't have to release the numbers. You know?
Who would change that, though? Is it the...
Well, because they think that, if the mail-in numbers start coming back, because it's early voting,
right.
so you can start voting weeks before the election.
Mm-hmm.
They can start getting those numbers in, and, everybody wants to be on the winning team. So, this candidate's starting to pull ahead in mail-in ballots, so that'll influence all the ballots from then forward.
Oh,
because everybody, look,
so
McCain's winning, so I'm going to vote for McCain.
So maybe they keep it that way to not influence someone's vote.
That's why that's their excuse. That's why they say they don't start tallying ballots until.
Right. I mean,
that's why they don't release the numbers.
As long as they're counted properly and they're not manipulating anything, then I'm for it.
Well, and then here's where you get into something else. So Texas, which is a big vote by mail state as well.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they're trying to do away with it, right? So why would they do that if it's so popular? So they instituted new regulations this election, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't properly inform people about it. So they had to throw out tens of thousands of ballots because they weren't filled out properly. Because there was extra steps you had to do this election that you haven't ever had to do before. You had to put extra information on the envelope, and nobody knew. So tens of thousands of votes got thrown out. Just as simple as that. And it's like, you should never be able to limit votes. So the only laws you should be able to make are to make it so more people can vote.
So do they know that now? And
so moving forward, because they just had their primaries. So now moving forward in the next, but okay, I'm mistaken. I misspoke. They did it in the primaries. It's too close now to change it for the general election.
Oh.
So now, not until the next election are they going to be able to implement the changes. So all the new stuff that they did that fucked a bunch of people over, they're going to keep until the next major election. So when they do like the regular election at the end of the year,
right?
They're still going to keep the new rules. Then the next election they'll fix it. It's just like they redrew maps here in Arizona based off of the census, right?
Right.
They were talking about how gerrymandered these fucking things
You mean
are.
gerrymandering?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so bad.
It is.
But they said, we're going to have to leave it for this election because it's too close to change. And it's like, wait a minute. Let's just use the old ones. Well, you just don't change it. Oh, it's so bad. They got quotes, like direct quotes, saying that do it for this person. That way they can keep their seat.
I don't see any... The Republican candidates that they have, they're so ridiculous in Arizona. She's talking about voter fraud and how Biden isn't the president and he's a fraud and this, and yet you're running, right? If the way we elect people is so fraudulent, then why are you running? Why are you basing it on it? Like why even try if you're not going to get it?
Yeah, if the system's so far broken,
right?
Or you start saying the system's broken before you start, and then when you lose, you're like, "See, I told you."
Right.
Right,
but if they win, it's not broken.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what was so funny about that, is they did a bunch of all these Republicans. Well, my election was okay because I won my election. But there is election integrity questions. No, you're the one asking the fucking questions. You point to the voter fraud, right? That's it. If it's such a huge issue, point to it.
Right.
And then they'll say, look, there was 1,100 cases of voter fraud in the last election. You mean the one where 180 million people voted? 1,100 is like 0.000001 of all the votes. You know, it's less than a percentage of a percent of a percent.
And a good chunk of that illegal voting was for their own party.
Yeah, it was conservatives. And here's another thing too. They make it seem like half the country's Republican and half the country's Democrat, right? It's like, so they're like, 60% of the Republican Party, but it's like the Republican Party is like 23% of registered voters. So that's like, of the overall population, it's like 12%. And then on top of that 12%, when you're saying 60%, then you're like, oh, okay, so what's that, like 6% of the population? You know, it's like, wait a minute. And that's even probably like, because a lot of people will say one thing because they think it sounds good, cool, even if they don't mean it. So it's like, and then so start whittling that percentage down more. All of a sudden you're at like 3%. Because it's like, oh, these people just say it. They don't even mean it. No. It's like, oh my God. Half the fucking country. I want to strangle a reporter. You don't even know.
Fake news.
Fake news. And it's like you do a minimum amount of research on your own, and it is fake news. It's all fake news.
That's the thing, though, is that people don't do their minimum amount of research. Should I pause?
Yeah, you might as well stop.